Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Julia Freeman, and I am a physical therapist that works at Rogue Physical Therapy and Wellness. We do online classes, we do in-person classes, we do group classes, we do one-on-one sessions, and this is all for people with Parkinson's. So our topic today is boxing and high intensity boxing. And what is it? What does it entail? Why do we do it? Why should people with Parkinson's do it? So I will go ahead and share my screen. Goal for the day, we're learning about boxing. We're just going to do it off of their slideshow here because our slideshow is going crazy right now. But let me introduce a little bit about myself. So my name is Julia Freeman, and I am a physical therapist at Rogue Physical Therapy and Wellness. I've been here for almost 2 years. Coming in January, I finished as a student here and got hired on. I absolutely love what I do because we do basically all different classes. We stay active, we keep moving, we practice what we preach, and we have fun while we do it. So we do online and in-person memberships, just like I was talking about earlier. And today we are focusing on boxing. So my objectives for today, what do I want you to get out of it? Is one, I want us to review what high intensity exercise is and why does it matter for people with Parkinson's? Second thing is understanding why and what boxing is and how it fits into high intensity. And then we're going to review some of the research of boxing and Parkinson's disease. And then lastly, we're going to learn how to implement our boxing training and where to find classes or different resources nearby. So just a review of what high intensity is. High intensity exercise is one of the main forms of exercise for people with Parkinson's. We have this here as a brief little diagram that I made, but high intensity training for people with Parkinson's is getting your heart rate above 60% of your heart rate max. So that means is that we would have to track your heart rate. So different options for that would be a heart rate monitor or calculate your heart rate through a different formula. The Carvinian formula is a good one. And then track it during the workout. So being able to get your heart rate up is what the research shows to best not only reduce symptoms, but also prevent further progression as well. So high intensity can include skilled aerobic training. And one of our skilled aerobic trainings is actually our boxing, which is what we're talking about today. The past 2 months, we kind of focus on more of a high intensity and a circuit kind of training. And then there's also cardio with machines where you can get high aerobic intense training. The reason why we kind of split up the skilled aerobic and the not skilled aerobic, I split it up for a reason, because when you're doing skilled aerobic exercises, boxing, circuit, oftentimes you have to use your brain a lot more, and that may reduce the intensity of the workout. So what that means is that with an aerobic workout or when we're trying to get high intensity, there's kind of a spectrum. And so for some people, boxing class can be more of a cognitive challenge and they might not be getting their heart rate up. And if that's you, or you find out that's to be you, then you have to supplement your aerobics somewhere else. But oftentimes what I find is that boxing is a great way to pair both a skilled training of being able to work on your brain and body connection. And then also on top of that, being able to do an aerobic workout as well and get both of them at the same time, kind of getting two birds with one stone. But kind of just a description of like just a purely skilled exercise would be kind of like Tai Chi. So it's all focused on movement and balance and specific forms where your heart rate is not going to get up as much. This is still beneficial because it works on, your balance, your coordination, all those things. However, if we're working on more aerobic training, then we're going to have to do something that's a little bit more high intensity. So that might be cycling on the bike, It could be a boxing class. It could be a circuit class. Could even be strength training. Just depends on the person. Everyone's different, especially on their fitness journey. So someone that's in really good shape, that's really with it, I think boxing is a great form of exercise for you. And some people that are just starting out, boxing is a great way to challenge both the brain and the body, but it might not be a great way to get your heart rate up as high. So just noticing kind of this continuum is important for high intensity. I'm going to go back to my first slide. So high intensity training is a 60 to 80% of your max heart rate. And there's two kind of branches off of high intensity training. You could just do pure cardio, treadmill, bike, elliptical, swimming, running, all that stuff. And then you can also do a skilled aerobic exercise. So like boxing, high intensity interval training, or circuits. So we're going to focus on boxing today. So what is boxing? So boxing is a full body workout. Not only does it challenge your body, it also challenges your brain. So in our classes, you learn the different punches, jabs, crosses, hooks, uppercuts, and everything that we learn in our shadow boxing, which we do in the beginning, we implement that into more of a circuit-based boxing class. And so we have our members punch equipment, or they punch with me or one of our other staff members, where we can really feel how strong they're punching, give them back feedback on their form. It works on your footwork and your agility, being able to appropriately step, maintain a perfect or a great boxing position where you're in a staggered stance. It also works on hand-eye coordination. So being able to get your hand right at the boxing bag or hit the speed bag. That works on hand-eye coordination. It also works on finding different Parkinson's disease symptoms, which I will talk about in the next slide. Also works on strengthening, works on reaction time, and it works on cognitive processing. And I'm probably missing a few, but for boxing class, you can think of boxing as like a whole body, brain and body challenge. This is actually one of our members here who love boxing and would always do the class with me. He really worked on, he was someone that had a little bit more rigidity, wasn't able to get his arm all the way out straight. And so he was really focusing on getting that full extension of that arm, which, you know, something with Parkinson is that rigidity and kind of like that tight posture. That's a great picture of him. So why does it matter for people with Parkinson's disease to even consider doing boxing? I get this question a lot. Boxing targets a lot of Parkinson's symptoms. So the first thing it targets is rigidity and flex posture. So I see a lot of our members that have Parkinson's, they're kind of flexed over, looking down. Well, in order to look at the boxing bag, you got to get a lot taller, you got to look up, and you got to hold your arms up too. So it's all kind of lifting your whole body, lifting your posture up in that extended position. So you're kind of doing the opposite of what Parkinson's wants you to do. Our classes, and this is online and in person, are designed to also do some amplitude training. So a few months back, I spoke about amplitude training, and we talked about LSVT big and power moves. These are specifically designed amplitude training workouts where you're designed to recalibrate your system on getting nice and big and moving big, because Parkinson's wants you to move small. So this works on amplitude training. So we measure out different stations where we want them to get their arm all the way straight, or we want their feet to be this wide apart, in order to incorporate and make it very specific to include amplitude training. Also, this works on voice training. So for some people that have a little bit softer voices, I really encourage them to yell out the combos, count out the combos, yell out other members that are in the class with them, cheer them on, being able to incorporate that voice so that we can help prevent that your voice getting lower, which is a symptom of Parkinson's. Another thing is mobility training, which I would argue that's good for anyone. But mobility training is getting on and off the floor. So if you were to fall, are you able to get back up? In every single boxing class we have, whether that's online or in person, and let alone all the classes we have, we get on the floor and we do power moves, or you're going to do an exercise so you can practice on getting on the floor and getting back up. Because the last thing I want, and I hear this all the time, is that someone has fallen and then they can't get up. And I've heard so many good stories of people telling me that even though they hate going on the floor and standing back up multiple times, they have no problem with it at home. They're able to get down and play with their grandkids. No one's kind of hovering over them. And they're able to be more independent and live more of an independent lifestyle, which is really nice. The last thing is hand-eye coordination. For Parkinson's, that's something that's really important, is just being able to kind of match the brain and also the body. So retraining your system, matching the brain and body, kind of giving them a connection. And all in all, it's honestly fun just to punch something, get that anger out too. So why is boxing good for people with Parkinson's? There's just a few articles that I found. So one of the articles conducted a randomized controlled trial, which is like the highest of highest for research, which means it's very controlled. And they really try to focus on keeping everything separate, everything's blinded, so that it's the most efficient, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the most sufficient study that they can do that won't have any bias. So they had two groups in this randomized control trial. One was boxing and one was just traditional exercise. What they did before they put these people in these classes and these groups is they looked at their walking velocity, so how fast they're walking. They looked at their endurance, how far can they walk in a certain amount of time. They looked at their balance, so how well is someone balancing. They looked at their mobility, so floor to stand. They looked at their balance confidence, so how confident do you feel doing different things? It's a survey. How confident do you feel with your balance? And then lastly, they took another survey of a quality of life. And so what they found is that the boxing group, which they did, I think, 2 trainings a week for 12 weeks, they found in the boxing group that there was improvements in walking velocity and endurance, balance, mobility, and quality of life. And so the traditional exercise group did have improvements too in the balance, confidence, mobility, and quality of life, but not as much as our boxing group. And so this boxing training group, I was like, okay, great. What did they do? Because I want to implement it. They did stretching, they did lateral footwork, punching bags, resistance exercises, aerobic training. And while the traditional exercises just basically did everything else except boxing, they kind of left out boxing. So I think this is a great research article that just shows that, boxing is so much more than just, getting stronger, punching a bag, getting your heart rate up, but it also improves your quality of life, makes you feel more confident, improves your walking, improves your agility, improves your endurance and balance. We have another article, which is a case series. So it just looked at 6 people with Parkinson's, so very small. And they did a group class with boxing, 2 to 3 classes a week for 12 weeks. They also found improvements in balance, your walking, activities of daily living. So just doing the different things from day to day, people reported more ease and quality of life. And then the last article that I have that I pulled up was a pilot study. So this means just like a new upcoming study that they wanted to test with a smaller group. And now they're going to do a bigger group after this. This was a 12-week community boxing program, 2 sessions a week for 12 weeks. All 14 participants improved both on the non-motor and motor features of the UPDRS. And so the UPDRS is one of the main Parkinson's disease global rating scale that's often done at a doctor's office. So that was very telling because they look at everything. They look at rigidity, they look at balance, they look at, range of motion, all that stuff. So I think that's an important thing here to acknowledge. So let's go back a little bit. So for our boxing classes, my goal for many people is to get their heart rate up. But for some people, I find that boxing is more of a cognitive challenge than a high intensity aerobic challenge. And that's kind of why we call it skilled aerobic, because there needs to have to be some sort of skill in it. So if you're one of those people that you're starting to do boxing classes and you're finding that your heart rate's not getting up as high enough, but you still feel like you get a good workout, in that case, I would also add or supplement a additional aerobic class or aerobic exercise dedicated time where you're purely getting your heart rate up, because that's also important. And if boxing becomes more of a skilled exercise, I will say stick with it, because the more you do it, the more it kind of gets into your brain, the more it becomes more of a mind body and more of a habit. And that will allow you to actually have more cognitive load in your brain to get your heart rate up. The more you do it, the more you feel comfortable, the more you're going to push yourself. So where can we find boxing classes? Rock Steady Boxing is a great website. I'm Rock Steady Boxing certified, which is where I got my certification from. But the Rock Steady Boxing website is a great resource to use, since this is a foundation that only does boxing classes for people with Parkinson's. And so they are all throughout the world. And so you can just type in Rock Steady Boxing online. You can click to find a class, and you can type in your zip code and be able to see if there's a class nearby. There may also be community boxing classes around you. Just a quick Google search just to see. I think that's good. You also can find private boxing trainers. I'm pretty sure you can see if there's anyone around who's Rock Steady Boxing certified. You can reach out to them. There's also YouTube classes that have intro to boxing and stuff like that, which may be more so a skilled training at that point, because people work on more of the punches and less of getting the heart rate up, but something to check out. And then lastly, another way to access boxing classes, if you're interested, is actually trying out our road classes, which are online. We have 2 boxing classes a week that are online live. I teach one of them. Our other instructor teaches the other one. But I like to say that our classes are unique in a sense of, one, it's taught by a physical therapist. All of our classes are taught by a PT. So we're trained movement professionals, and we also are specialized and know Parkinson's disease pretty well, so that all of our exercises, all of our training is targeted towards some symptom, some problem, something that we find that common in Parkinson's that we want to work on. Another thing in our classes online that is pretty special is that we do a high intensity piece. So after we do a combo, we switch to a high intensity exercise. So we do a combo of punches, and then we do a high intensity exercise. We go back and forth for 25 minutes. So by the end of it, you should have a pretty good workout in. Let's see. So our online classes, we have a bunch of live classes. We have a bunch of recordings, but our mission for Rogue, since we're based out of Orange County, we can't reach everyone. So our goal is to provide ongoing high quality evidence-based exercise for people with Parkinson's. So we don't want to just stay within our Orange County bubble. Like, we want to be able to have and give access to this all across the world, all across the country. And I find a lot of members have just as much fun online than they do in person. Not only do you get boxing classes, there's so many other classes that we offer, but just this month in our webinar, we're focusing on more boxing. But you have unlimited access to all live classes. You can come whenever. We have exercise classes. We also have speech classes. So my friends that have a little bit of speech difficulties or want to just practice their speech, we have live speech classes every week, twice a week, and we have a lot of recordings. We also have a 30-minute consult where you're going to be able to speak to our owner, Claire McLean. She is someone that has worked with Parkinson's a lot more than any of us, has great experience, and is the one that started all this. We also have a bunch of other things included in the membership, which is fun. We have a brain training class. We have weekly cooking classes. We have a watch party where we watch PD School, which is Dr. Lori Mishley's lectures. We have an educational meeting every month, and we just have a bunch of people that come on live and they just chat with each other, and you just get to connect. So with that said, the pricing here is about $75 a month, or $750 a month. However, by the end of this webinar, I'm going to give you a free code to do a free month. And I highly encourage you all to do the free month. If you don't want to continue it, just make sure you cancel it before that month ends, and you will not get charged. So I would really want you all to benefit and at least try out these exercises. So this is our live class schedule. This might be shifting around a bit in the next month. We might be adding a little earlier classes for our East Coast people. But the boxes highlight our live boxing classes. So I'm Julia. So I teach Thursday boxing classes at 10:15 Pacific Coast time. Jamie, our other instructor, teaches Tuesday boxing classes. And you'll notice we all have a little bit of a different style. I'm someone that will always incorporate jumping into my high intensity workout because I think that's very important. Jamie does a lot of like finger flicks and fine motor and more balance and stuff like that too, which is also really good for you. So with that said, this is what our library looks like. You would have unlimited access to our vast video library. Our boxing has 15 seasons in it. So we have a whole bunch of exercises. So you guys can box until, I don't know, the end of the year and still have new ones. If you want to join and sign up, if you type in the code free month into the promo code box, make sure you are clicking the monthly options and then type in free month and you'll get your first month free. Some references that I used, which I think is helpful, and I can always send this to anyone. But overall, boxing is a great way to get your heart rate up. It's a great way to learn that mind-body connection. It's also a great way to challenge your brain. If you haven't done it, I highly encourage it. It's also really fun. With that said, I just want to say that no matter what, high intensity training is going to be important for you. So if you don't really know a lot about high intensity exercise, if you tuned 2 months ago, we have it on YouTube. I gave a lecture about high intensity exercise in general, why it's important for people with Parkinson's, why you should be incorporating it 3 days a week for 30 minutes. This will not only attenuate some of your symptoms of Parkinson's, maybe will slow your progression, will make you sleep better, improve constipation, all these things that people with Parkinson's have problems with. So with that said, I'm going to stop my screen and I'm going to share here. All right. Does anyone have any questions? I know I threw a lot of information all at y'all at the same time. So does anyone have any questions or anything like that? Feel free to unmute. Or if I need to clarify anything.
I have a question. What's the difference between using I know it's boxing, but using the bag and doing the just the freestyle?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So obviously not everyone's gonna have boxing bags in their house, which is why we call it shadow boxing. So that's kind of, you're just punching in the air. The pros of having something to punch to and add, you get a force that comes back through your arm, so you can kind of determine how hard you're punching. So that's kind of nice to get that feedback. The con of that though is that it's expensive and you're gonna have to pay for that if you want it in your house. So coming into a boxing class, it's really I've always had people say punching a bag instead of punching the air, you get that feedback and you it allows you to get your heart rate up a lot more than just shadow boxing. Shadow boxing is good, so you could still it still has really positive effects if you really focus on like getting really good form and moving quickly. I get my heart rate up really high. You just don't have a target. And so oftentimes with people with Parkinson's, shadow boxing is great. Don't get me wrong, but people with Parkinson's like to have a target, and oftentimes having a target makes them punch harder, makes them punch, get their arm all the way straight, because it gives you that feedback and that target too.
Would I take the same class, sign up for the same class if I had a bag at home? It would be
Yeah,
boxing. All right.
yeah.
I did read somewhere about some equipment that you put in your doorway. It's by, I think it's by the people that originated rock steady boxing.
Yeah. I never heard about that, but yeah, if you have it, you can share it in the chat so everyone can see it too. Yeah. Any questions? Anything else? Talk to me. I always feel like waiting. I love talking to people. So,
Hi, this is Suzanne.
hi.
Um, I work with Parkinson's patients at our local Y. And if people do, I know you guys have a great service and I love it. But if they already have a Y membership somewhere, they might want to ask about boxing classes. I know we have a guy who's a
Mhm.
retired policeman who does that. It's really early in the morning, but they do have the equipment and everything. So I want to encourage other people to check with their local Y. But you
Yeah.
mentioned community centers, so
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, if you already have a gym membership, see if they have classes. Also, you can sometimes a lot of gyms actually have punching bags too that you can use as well. So something that, and you can even put one of our classes on and do the class at the gym, but you actually have a punching bag in front of you. Could be another option too. Yeah, thank you, Suzanne. Any other questions or anything? Feel free to unmute. Yeah. My goal is to give you all as much information as I can, but I know it can be overwhelming. So if you have any like follow-up questions or anything like that, I'm going to put my email into the chat so you can email me if you would like. Um, and then I will also share my screen again one more time if you wanted to write down the code, which is free month. And you would type in Rogue in Motion website to sign up. This code will end by next week, so a week from today. All right, my friends. If no one has any questions, I'm going to stay on for a little bit longer, but you are free to go. Go box, go punch something, go have fun. Stay safe while you're doing it. And I wish everyone very well.
Thanks, Julian.
See you later.
Then I found the name of the punching bag that
Oh,
goes in
yeah. What's the name?
called Quiet Punch.
Quiet Punch.
Yeah, I wonder if that would be better than having a stand-up punching bag in my house.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. That is cool. Very different. Yeah, it's like it says 140 right now for a quiet punching bag. So if you don't want to make a lot of noise. So yeah, you strap it to two bars and you like basically suspend it and then you can punch in the middle.
Kind of high though. I mean, they put it up kind of high. rather be lower because I have shoulders.
Any other questions? I appreciate y'all coming. Next month, we are going to be doing an actual boxing workout. So come get sweaty with me.
Next month, will that be a full class that we can see online?
Yeah, so it'll be basically a half of a class. So for our boxing, we try to do like 3 different big combos and rounds, but it takes 25 minutes. And we have to warm up and cool down. So we're gonna basically cut down the workout to about 15 minutes, I would say. So it's about a half of a workout, and I'll walk you through what a traditional workout would look like and on the membership. So we would warm up. We would do our shadow boxing, we would do the actual boxing class, and then we would cool down on the floor with some power moves, and then we'll have time for questions too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.